I'm very chill. Very much, very chill. Not chill at all. What do
Yeah.
This is why nobody trusts him.
You know what? It's been a long time since games journalists have drew my ire, and in that time, especially past couple of weeks, these
Oh, it's about game journals. Okay, yeah, no, I don't trust them. Yeah, I'm good.
guys have me losing my mind. I've been distracted by all the games that are coming out. I can't hold my tongue any longer. I'm going to crash out over this. I've seen everything from flat out rewrites to history, completely ignoring verifiable facts, pressuring developers to change their games based on things that never even happened, biased surveys using data to try to change our perspective on who actually.
Also, it's not a survey. If you're just asking a couple of questions from people from your specific circle to obscure the information and the opinion of the general public and disguise it under a survey, that's not a survey.
Plays games. These guys have been running the entire gambit. Now all of a sudden Ubisoft is one of the greatest developers of all time. The Hogwarts Legacy boycott was a success. And oh, by the way, 50%, more than 50% of players are actually women today, which doesn't make any sense to me because only 5
I didn't know he was keeping up with it. Okay, yeah. Hogwarts Legacy boycott was not a success. They actually made a lot of money, shitloads of money, like mad money on it. And no, 50% of gamers are not women. Apparently, also majority of gamers are, 40 years old. So, and we have a video on it.
5% of the people subscribed to this channel are women, which is actually a pretty high number. It must be.
Yes, 5%? Bro, I have 1%.
No way.
How does he have 5? How does he have more women than me? That's why I have Zen on the screen. Brings me the female audience. The beard? You think it's the beard? Do you think they think he's a cat? So like they imagine like petting the beard?
You know, one of the reasons why there is so much distrust for the media.
Actually, Lufu, we're here only for Zen. First of all, my name is not Lufu. Let's start with that. Second of all, I'm okay with that.
Is that I think that from a lot of people's perspective, games media is basically the exact same thing as legacy media in their eyes. It's just something that just does not represent the common person. It is constantly always pulling in a direction that is against the curve. It's against the grain of the. It's not what we want. As simple as that. And it's constantly misrepresenting our opinions, our concerns, and our complaints for the industry, all for their own gain. So today I want to talk about that distrust in games media because regardless what other people think, I still think written media matters. So we're going to talk about the stories that they've spun, the damage that's done, and if these guys don't start representing the players, they're not going to be representing anyone. But before that, a word from today's sponsor, Displate. These guys are back with a massive discount. For the entire month of October, you can get 33% off when you buy 1 or 2 displays, or 38% off when you buy 3 or more. Just use code LEGENDARY at checkout, and you'll be able to get the best deal that they're offering right now. They've also sent me their entire full set of licensed Path of Exile 2 prints. They all look incredible, guys. Seriously, the detail, the color, the texture, it's some of the best prints of game art that I've seen on metal. And I'm going to be honest, it's getting to the point where I'm running out of wall space. That's how good these things look. If you haven't tried Displate before, they make premium metal posters that mount magnetically, no tools, no wall damage. You just stick a magnet to the wall and snap the poster on. They've got over 1 million designs from games to anime to movies to tech, fantasy art, original anime, limited edition prints that you're not going to find anywhere else. These guys have everything. So whether you're starting your first collection or adding a few more to the lineup, use code LEGENDARY at checkout and hit the link in the description. You get 33% off for 1 to 2 displays, 38% off for 3 or more, only during the month of October. Thank you to Displate for sponsoring today's video.
That's a really good
We
sale.
have witnessed a media apocalypse over the past couple of years. The death and resurrection of Game Informer, Polygon being gutted and sold off to Vox Media, Kotaku facing the exact same thing under GO Media. And
I even already forgot how many of these like journal websites got like downsized. I'll just put it this way. I kind of blanked on it. Like I know we talked about it last year and the beginning of this year. And you know why I forgot? Because it doesn't matter. We don't need them. They don't matter.
and IGN's parent company, Ziff Davis, consolidating the entire gamer network, Eurogamer, Rock, Paper, Shotgun, and more. It's been a bloodbath for written games media. The only bright spot has been SkillUp, launching his own publication through the support of his YouTube audience, a path that I would like to follow one day myself because I think it matters. We need journalists that are on the ground, investigating the truth, exposing corruption, informing the people, and representing their voices. But that's just not what we're getting anymore. It's why so many of them are losing their relevance and their jobs. The ideals that I just listed to define journalism now sound almost naive when I say it out loud. Over the years, as a society, we have grown more polarized and politicized. The art of journalism has been twisted into something else, a mouthpiece for access.
Yeah, it's because a lot of the gaming journalists right now, they just want to be activists. They don't care about games. Like, why would you even go into gaming journalism when you don't care about games? All you think about is how to be as political as possible and have the worst political brain rot I have seen in very long. That doesn't belong in gaming.
For industry narratives, for social agendas and political causes, everything except for the people that it's meant to represent. What finally sent me over the edge recently was the reaction to Ubisoft canceling an Assassin's Creed game that would have been set in post-Civil War America, where you would play as a former slave taking on the KKK. That is a killer premise for this franchise.
I did not know that that's the premise of the game. I did not know that.
Whoa.
It makes sense why they canceled it, especially right now. This kind of makes sense.
Political turmoil of that.
Bro, what the hell? Who came up with that at this time of day?
Who let them cook
Ugh.
badly?
I mean, I'm assuming the same person they just fired. 2 decades in charge of Ubisoft, in charge of Assassin's Creed, now fired. That's who cooked.
Era, the danger of trying to blend in when the whole world is watching you, the ways that the Templars could have been manipulating division for their own gain, it practically writes itself. Django Unchained, Assassin's Creed, except for, of course, it wouldn't have been any of those things because it was Ubisoft. Under any other publisher, this idea could totally work. It could have been bold, dark, powerful, witty, but not here. Somewhere along the way, all of a sudden, the Ubisoft part of this sentence just got stripped away entirely. Like, people are pretending like it doesn't matter who's actually making the game. You have people on social media and games media that are saying things like, this game would have been massive if it came out a bit after Django Unchained when people were scared and embarrassed to be white supremacists.
What?
We lost the greatest Assassin's Creed game ever. And
What?
these posts just kept going with tens of thousands and
Bro, I didn't even see this post. What happened? Like, is my timeline on Twitter so blessed now that I don't get this bullshit anymore? Am I officially out of the Twitter brain rot? Like, I didn't even get this in my timeline. Like, so this is like old news to me.
hundreds of thousands of likes. Games media then jumped on the bandwagon, with PC Gamer writing an article titled "Ubisoft reportedly canceled an Assassin's Creed game that was set in American Civil War because of Yasuke backlash and political turmoil in the US," where they would then write later in the article, "It is, in other words, an intensely fraught topic in the US, a point driven home by the reaction to Yasuke in Assassin's Creed Shadows, which was ugly, to put it mildly. That reaction also exposed the soft underbelly of Ubisoft's leadership in response to the noise from the worst corners of gamerdom," CEO Yves Guillemot said in September 2024. "Our goal is not to push any specific agenda, and its intent is simply to make games for fans and players."
Absolutely not. Ubisoft has been pushing an agenda. And now Ubisoft, they are masters of lies. Well, by masters of lies, I'm saying that they love lying, but they're not really good at it. They got caught lying to investors multiple times. The leaked voice call, the the document that came out by the investors against Ubisoft, how Ubisoft been lying to them and tried to like sell off IPs behind their backs. Ubisoft constantly lying to their player base. So like this is like, okay, Ubisoft, by this point, if you believe anything the Ubisoft says, it's on you. You also notice how many of those tweets are targeting Grumps over this. I gotta be honest, I think Grumps is stupid. I don't like Grumps. If it wasn't modern Ubisoft, I would actually like to see the game. Yeah, if it was a modern Ubisoft. And if it wouldn't be like if they wouldn't have been planning to post it like with all the shit happening. This is just tone deaf.
That everyone can enjoy. Ironically, the people who actually make those games seem less reticent about standing up for themselves and their work, but they're not the ones who make the final decision on what does and doesn't get made. The Gamer followed this up with an article titled, "It's unbelievable that Assassin's Creed canceled its coolest concept ever," where they said that the game was canceled because of fake controversy around Assassin's Creed Shadows, later calling them cowards as they claim that global politics are swinging hard to the
What?
right and they are taking the easy way out. Then later, and unwittingly or purposefully, completely ignored a very important piece of context where they said, "It shouldn't be controversial for games to unequivocally take a stand that the Ku Klux Klan is bad, slavery is bad, and pushing back against oppression is good. Red Dead Redemption 2, frequently hailed as one of the greatest games of all."
Okay, no one's disagreeing with the fact that those things are bad. Yes, the KKK is bad. Slavery is bad. Doesn't mean we need a game on it. We all agree it's bad. It's bad, 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 bad. You have to be an idiot to think it's good.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean we need a game on it. And plus, just because Red Dead Redemption 2, like as they say, frequently hailed as one of the greatest games of all time, featured many instances where you do exactly this. Uh just because just because one game did that doesn't mean another game needs to do that. But we all know a Ubisoft dev going to jump to preach political talking point in a game like this. Oh, they will. And this is probably why it got canceled. You think Tencent is gonna let them make a game like this after over $1 billion investment? It's not gonna happen. They're not they're not gonna let their investment get tanked.
Time features many instances where you do exactly this. For that matter, it shouldn't have been controversial that Yasuke was put in a video game. Excuse me, but that's not the direction I thought this was going, and there is no equivalence between Red Dead Redemption 2 letting you chase down the clan and Ubisoft shoehorning an obscure figure from Japanese history into the lead role of Assassin's Creed. That is a mile-wide leap, my friend, and it's insane how far people will go and how far they will stretch to rewrite history just to justify it, or
I'm gonna bogart this for a second. Please let me know if you want me to finally play Red Dead Redemption 2. I have the game and I haven't played more than an hour. Let me know.
inflate the fame of the character. Forbes took it all further with their article titled, "An Assassin's Creed Civil War game was canceled because Yasuke reaction US politics," where they divine why the game was canceled, raising the status of Yasuke even further, writing, "The lead up to the release of Assassin's Creed Shadows was overwhelmed by a culture war controversy that the game was using legendary historical Black Samurai Yasuke that sparked both endless debates about whether he really was a samurai in history and general disdain for the idea that AC finally had a game set in Japan but was using a black man instead of a Japanese male lead. There was a second lead, a Japanese woman, who was largely ignored." Now, Yasuke isn't just historical, he's legendary. Jeez, man, the framing of this is what drives me up the wall. Sure, yeah, there were extremists that were targeting the game and the developers for some of the worst reasons, but the vast majority of criticisms came from a place of sincerity and quality. People can tell when a character is being forced in to be able to play on political talking points for profit, tokenizing identities to
Yeah.
be able to sell copies, and the end result is always the same, a soulless, shoehorn product that nobody wants, like Assassin's
That's what I hate a lot about like the newer AAA games. There's a lot of straight up like milking people's like either would be history, race, or the hardship they had to go through. Like they're not trying to speak on your behalf. They're just trying to milk it. And people thinking, hey, they're just like, oh, they're just trying to represent us and like inserting us here and there. No, they're actually disrespecting you with that. If they actually wanted to represent you, like for example, Assassin's Creed Shadow, they wouldn't have put Yasuke in there. They would have made a standalone Yasuke story itself, a game, which would have sold probably a lot better. Or they would have made Assassin's Creed Africa or something like that. So it just my point is, don't mistake someone's money milking for actually giving a crap about you. Most of the time, not even most of the time, every time, these companies, they don't care about you. They just want profit.
Creed Shadows. I mean, just look at that game. The intro to Yasuke is one of the strangest things that I've ever seen. Nobunaga looks the guy in the eyes and says, "You're going to change this country. You're a powerful man." That's it. That's the background of that character. It is just so awkward and so forced. And when you compare that to Naue, the Japanese lead, who actually has a coherent backstory and a decent character arc, it's night and day. Because of Yasuke and the social discourse around him becoming a lightning rod, these writers just want to ignore any real context. Why wouldn't players want to play a post-Civil War game about a former slave made by Ubisoft? Players do not trust them to make a good game or do justice to a story like that. And honestly, these journalists don't either. They have been publishing pieces criticizing Ubisoft's design philosophy for nearly a decade. So how are you going to sit here and tell me that we're missing out on some great game from the company that has spent the past 10 years pulling out some of the worst open world stories, UI, and monetization schemes in the entire industry? It's like these guys are just completely ignoring who we're actually talking about. And the funniest part is that Ubisoft's leadership can't even keep their story straight. PC Gamer can't either. They were just the ones that were quoting the CEO saying that our goal isn't to push.
And this is one of the reasons why a lot of people are accusing game journalists being like in the paycheck of these companies. The average gamer, they see what the company's trying to do, and would you just get money, right? And the game journalists are saying, oh, they're just being stunning and brave with speaking up about it. So they're showcasing this and this. That's why there's also a lot of disconnect happening between the gamer and the journalist. Like, even the words they're saying, it just doesn't click with people. Like, I don't understand what's the point of existence of like the media journalism anymore for gaming. There's no integrity. There's no actual reviews. It's just trying to like be in the good graces of specific AAA companies, and that's it.
Any specific agenda. Yet just last year, in the response to the backlash over Assassin's Creed Shadows, they quoted Mark Alexis Cote, the now former boss of Assassin's Creed, giving a speech like, "As the authors of How Democracies Die so powerfully stated, democracies crumble when good people stay silent. The same is true, I think, of our creative vision when we allow fear to stifle our voices, when we self-censor in the face of threats, when we hand over our power piece by piece until freedom and creativity wither away. We cannot let that happen. It's time for us creators to stand firm in the commitment to our values by telling stories that inspire, that challenge and help people to connect. Our silence cannot become complicit," said the guy who quit the company just after they sold Assassin's Creed to China. Whatever.
And,
All that talk just to get fired.
and we literally just went through the stuff how he got fired, where they weren't completely removing him from the company. He left because he wouldn't get as much money and recognition. That speech is from the person who just wouldn't get as much as he used to because he was pushed down a notch. There you have it. Money. They don't give a fuck about you.
Whatever happened to not backing down there, Marky boy? This is all just pure performative altruism, trying to frame corporate content decisions as some grand act of moral courage, and it's painfully two-faced. Ubisoft doesn't even believe in the things that they're claiming to stand for, and that's why their stories suck in the first place. This is a company that has spent the last decade silencing its own employees through workplace abuse, cover-ups, and mass layoffs, but suddenly, when there's a PR angle to exploit, they're the guardians of democracy. So when I hear all this outrage over a canceled Assassin's Creed game, it's all just virtue signaling that ignores the most important context of all. Ubisoft would have been the one that's making it. How are people pretending like Ubisoft still makes good games? The irony here is wild. The Gamer article literally...
Ubisoft hasn't made a good game in a long time. All the shared memory we all are having of Ubisoft is the Ubisoft of the past. Because a lot of us grew up on the Ubisoft games. But if you think about when's the last time they actually made a good game? How many years ago was that? I'm not talking about an okay game. I'm talking about a good game.
Mentions Red Dead Redemption 2 as proof that this idea could work, as if that comparison makes any sense at all. Yeah, that game pulled it off because it was Rockstar. There is a massive difference there. That's like saying this 5-star Italian restaurant.
And Rockstar is shady too. So Rockstar is shady and not the best company either with their game development. Let's not pretend here.
Made the best spaghetti that I've ever had, so why shouldn't Taco Bell make it too? It feels like I'm just living in an alternate reality, like everybody collectively forgot that Ubisoft has lost over 90% of its market value, circling the drain, barely hanging on to its place in the stock exchange. In its current state, this is a company that under no circumstances could ever do any justice to a game like this. Yet we have people that are parading it around like we are missing out on the greatest game ever because of online.
Okay, hold on. Let me check something. The best game, not the best game, the best Assassin's Creed game Ubisoft has ever made, right? Just a couple months ago, not a couple months, just in February, they were saying how Assassin's Creed Shadow is the best and most successful Assassin's Creed game they have ever made. This uptick here, it, that's the new DLC they dropped.
Racism instead of the company that's so bad that it's lost 90% of its value and had to sell out to China. What are we talking about here? This is exactly what is driving players and readers away. It's the straw manning, it's the complete lack of awareness, it's just the...
Oh, meanwhile, for people who are saying, oh, but it's China, all the games that they'll make is gonna be shit. And they're just on Steam. For people who are saying, well, that's multiplayer.
24K peak, by the way. Most of the players are in Asia.
This is the game that mainstream media were actually harassing and bullying. This is the game that mainstream media was jerking off. You see the difference? Small company, game science, Quadra A company, Ubisoft. China, free China. Well, to be fair, like Ubisoft Shadow was not pre-China. They kind of put China into Japan.
Rewriting and ignoring the truth. Why are people so mad at Ubisoft? I don't know. Maybe it's because their games suck. That's where 90% of this stuff is coming from right now. How could Red Dead Redemption 2 do it? Because it's one of the greatest games of all time. It's a thoroughbred experience. It's a game of a lifetime for a lot of people. It's a game that came out and its only sole purpose was just to be the greatest game it possibly could be, and that's just not what...
And yes, all the gacha games are a good example too, but there's a reason why I didn't compare it to gacha games. Since it's like a different category on itself. But no, gacha games, they're bringing like billions in for the companies, yeah.
Ubisoft is known for. I don't think they've ever been known for that. It is so unreasonable to frame it like this.
I was doing Skull and Bones. I forgot about Skull and Bones. Holy hell. Okay. Skull and Bones. One of the latest Ubisoft games. Then we have this one. Star Wars Outlaws. And the only reason this even got to this point, this peak point, is because of the label Assassin's Creed. The legendary Quadra game. Yep.
And completely ignore the context of how bad this company is and how long that they've been this bad. And that frustrates me. That frustrates a lot of other players. And it makes us feel unheard, ignored. And more than anything, it feels like people are being labeled as people who do not like a character because of their skin color, when that couldn't be any further from the truth. This is one-sided representation. It is surface level, and above all, it's offensive. And I don't understand how these guys haven't figured it out yet. It's embarrassing is what it is. You know, another thing that I think really frustrates players is that these kind of narratives, once they get spun up and they all start talking about it, especially because a lot of these guys agree with one another, they become a monolith. They blot out and rewrite what players are actually concerned with. And then as a result, we're either ignored or painted as villains. And the games that come out aren't the games that we're looking for. As a result, these companies lose money, these developers lose their jobs, and these guys, they just keep doing it. What the industry hasn't accepted, and I think some of them are starting to, is that while journalists and reviewers can offer useful insight, their tastes, their opinions, and their values often do not line up with actual players. Building your entire product around their feedback doesn't broaden your audience, it shrinks it. You're not selling to journalists, you're selling to players. Just look at Dragon Age the Veilguard. That game scored a strong 80, praised as a return to form by critics, but it still missed.
And let's look at what happened to Dragon Age Veilguard. Another game that was heavily promoted and hailed by the game journalism. Are you seeing any patterns here with the games that game journalists are promoting and with the games that game journalists are going against, but the average user likes them, and vice versa? Game journalists promoting, average user hates it. Anyone noticing anything?
Listed sales targets by 50% and ended up with layoffs at BioWare. I think that's the real danger of this divide. When critics and writers start thinking that their perspectives represent the audiences, their words stop reflecting reality and start shaping it instead. You can see it in the way that these articles keep getting published, where outrage or controversy just gets recycled long after the audience has moved on. The Gamer recently ran a piece titled Hogwarts Legacy 2 Can't Side.
And what did game journalists try to do with this game as well? Side with the activists. Because game journalists are just activists too. What happened to this game? How many units sold? 34 million units worldwide sold. I don't know what to tell you. If at this point you're still listening to game journals on what game to get, it's on you.
Step the franchise's biggest controversy, where in it they talk about how the sequel needs to change due to an online boycott against J.K. Rowling, saying, unfortunately, Hogwarts Legacy was unable to unmuddy.
Also, why are they not going this hard after the show? Only the game. They're going after the game, but not the show. Kind of weird. Especially since J.K. Rowling is involved with the show, but not with the game. It's as if it doesn't really matter.
The name of the Harry Potter franchise. While the game may have been met with positive player and critic response, it also was the subject of boycotts upon release. Avalanche Software and Warner Brothers Games tried to play.
The show has Black Snape. That's a rumor right now. They didn't confirm it, right? Or did they confirm it? Aren't like all the castings are still like a rumor and it's not really confirmed? Or am I wrong? Hollywood can profit from show, not the game. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point why they're going after the game, not the show. Hollywood, yeah. The only consistent trend with journals and activists is they lack any consistency. They lack consistency and they lack integrity. They don't have any backbone. Now I'm curious. Let's see. Okay, Harry Potter. Okay, no, that tracks. Wait, that tracks. The Harry Potter casting tracks. Ron Weasley. Yeah, no, that tracks. Okay. Hermione. Not really. I would prefer if she was like a little more ginger, but maybe they'll put a wig on her or something. Dumbledore. Yeah, no, I can see it. I can see it with like the makeup after that. Yeah. Oh. Oh. Okay, I see what you guys mean.
What
Yeah.
did they do?
While I don't agree with the casting choice, would it be worse or better if they picked someone that looks like Alan Rickman?
I know someone that would look like him.
Yeah, but that would be kind of disrespectful to Alan Rickman.
Would it?
Yeah, I think so.
I feel like they're just paying homage because he defined the role.
Maybe. It can go both ways depending on what you pick, like the kind of actor you pick. Like,
You know the guy that played Kylo Ren?
no, I don't know what I'm. Maybe the train of thought was to pick someone that's like polar opposite. Or maybe I'm giving them too much credit. With the group that says Adam Driver would be I don't know who the fuck that is.
Oh yeah, that's the guy that played Kylo Ren.
I don't know. But yeah, I have to agree. I don't like the casting. I really don't. You see, mm, so he's supposed to fill in the shoes of Alan Rickman, right? And she's supposed to fill the shoes of Maggie Smith. Fuck, no, this is hard. At least the Maggie Smith casting is way closer than, yeah. Okay, Hagrid is close. Hagrid is very close. Also, Snape is the single most detailed described character in the book. Oh, I heard that one. Yeah, I heard that one. Okay, Argus. No, I don't like this either. No, whatever, I don't care. What? I mean, I see why, but they would have to make it long too. That what? No, that's shit casting. Oh, yeah, no, that tracks. That tracks. Right? Yeah, that tracks. Yeah, that tracks. They're making them all younger. No, I don't like this. I don't like this at all. Whatever. 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 I mean, as long as they ginger, no one gives a shit. You might think I'm being mean about saying that, but like with Weasleys, as long as you make them ginger, people don't give a fuck. Okay, it's just gonna be all makeup anyways. Don't care. Don't care. I don't even know who this character is. Don't care. Don't care. I don't know. Huh. It's gonna be all makeup again. Okay, back to Snape. The more I'm looking at all the casting, the more I'm like, yeah. So they try to be as close as possible with everyone else except for Snape. Every single other one is so close. But the Snape one is, yeah, I can see why people have an issue with it. Remember how Harry's dad hangs Snape from a tree? Let's see that scene now. They're probably gonna do like the opposite or something.
Placate fans within the game itself, but the developer's attempt was poorly received. It goes without saying that Avalanche Software and Warner Brothers Games cannot try to avoid controversy the same way Hogwarts Legacy did in the game's allegedly slated sequel. The article then goes on framing Harry Potter as a cultural monolith, saying that the franchise has dominated pop culture for years and that Hogwarts Legacy is its most successful video game adaptation yet. Then it starts digging into Rowling herself, saying her comments on the trans community have essentially reduced the legacy of Harry Potter from a juggernaut in young adult fiction to a nostalgic but messy memory, and even ties it back to older criticisms of the books, like portrayals of people of color, and uses it to frame Hogwarts Legacy as a part of a damaged brand. The article concludes by claiming that nothing Avalanche or Warner Brothers can do will ever fix Rowling's harmful statements, but they should still strive to improve the brand's trans representation with Hogwarts Legacy 2, supposedly to avoid another boycott.
I said it in the Hogwarts video already. They have trans representation in Hogwarts. They have a trans NPC, and plus you can make your own character trans too. They have trans representation there.
Yes,
like literally Hogwarts Legacy, it had the woke people going after them and the anti-woke people going after them. Like both sides of the coin went after Hogwarts Legacy. And only one side actually went with death threats and harassment after people who streamed the game.
Famous boycott that led Hogwarts Legacy to sell a pathetic 34 million copies, being the first game in 15 years to outsell Call of Duty. If you ignore Grand Theft Auto, now we're talking almost 2 decades. This was one of the most inconsequential terminally online boycotts in history. The only real outcome here was a wave of harassment towards streamers who played the game, including the popular VTuber Pikami, who ended up retiring because of the attacks.
Well, I mean, she retired as Pikami also because she left the company. But they're still going after her new persona, Henya. So they're still going after Henya. They're still going after Silvervale. Now they're going after Corone. It's a mess. It's a mess. This is so dumb.
Mind you, that had nothing to do with Avalanche, Warner Brothers, or even Hogwarts Legacy itself. J.K. Rowling had no direct involvement with the game beyond licensing its IP. This is just so unreasonable. What is the expectation here? We are so many layers removed from J.K. Rowling's involvement that any backlash at this point is just performative outrage. What are the developers supposed to do? Make a completely different game because you don't like the author?
I'm so glad she returned as Henya. 100% agree with that. Plus, she already opened up about it, the harassment. Plus, she was pretty much like the forgotten talent of Hollow. So I'm very glad she's actually like out of it.
Author's tweets. If we applied that logic everywhere else, we'd be tossing out half of history. Man, this is exactly how games get ruined, and if we go and we compare this to the Assassin's Creed talk we were just having earlier, it becomes painfully clear that representation was never the issue. It's quality, it's authenticity. Hogwarts Legacy didn't face any backlash from those these journalists are claiming are the worst in gaming right now, while that game had a widely diverse cast and a trans character.
No, actually, there are a lot of content creators who are anti-DEI and anti-Vogue did go really hard against Hogwarts Legacy because it is DEI, but at the same time, they didn't go as hard after them with specific exceptions, because that side was quote unquote boycotting it. It's like a really weird thing that happened with Hogwarts Legacy. The woke people hate it. They want to boycott and harass people who enjoy it, right? Then the anti-woke people hate it because the whole representation there. But at the same time, there are specific anti-woke content creator who like Hogwarts Legacy because the other side was trying to boycott it. It's messy. It's messy. It's yucky messy.
And it's because it treated its characters and its world with sincerity. That inclusivity felt natural, not forced, because those characters actually fit the story, the setting, and the world that the developers were trying to build. And this kind of framing does a lot of damage, not just to players, but to the entire industry. When these journalists keep rewriting the story to be able to fit whatever social narrative, it is sending the wrong message to the developers about what audiences actually want. It teaches them to fear backlash that doesn't actually exist, to chase approval that doesn't even matter, and to try to build their games around appeasement instead of authenticity. This is the exact same thing that they're claiming to fight against with Assassin's Creed Shadows, but they're doing it to Hogwarts Legacy. What makes matters worse is this kind of framing is just forcing the conversation into this one-sided place where equality stops being about fairness and starts being about compliance, where there is only one version of representation.
I'm not bothered about the trans character in the game. I like the character and it doesn't feel forced. Yeah, the character doesn't feel forced at all. The character was extremely likable. I really like the character.
That is acceptable, and any deviation from that is labeled as problematic. That mindset does not create better games or stronger communities. It is just alienating the people who are actually playing these games. And you know, this disconnect is getting worse than I ever thought. It's no longer limited to articles. It's now built into how this industry is measuring itself. Just look at the recent ESA survey that's been circulating around. Some of you guys have probably seen this. It's the one that's claiming to show who's actually playing games in 2025. Every few years, the ESA releases a new power of play. It's a report that's meant to define who gamers are and what
Yeah, we have like a whole video on this. This was the dumbest thing I've seen.
They value. On the surface, it looks legitimate, clean charts, global data, positive messaging, but once you dig in, this entire thing falls apart. The big headline that
global data from just 2,000 people. Globally 2,000 people.
This year is that 48% of gamers are women. Sounds like progress until you realize how they got here. That number lumps in mobile gamers with PC and console play, and mobile makes up the majority of both of those players' playtime.
And as we already talked in that video, it's okay if you use mobile games as anxiety and stress relief. It's completely 100% justifiable. And there's also esports level mobile games too. Let's not pretend like the majority of those games on your phone are actual games. Majority of them are just clickers, just AFK fidget clickers. And if you want to go to an extent of putting them into a category, you cannot put those games into a gaming category. You can put them in like a fidget game category, like a fidget app category, or you can put them into like a stress relief category. But a lot of those games, they're not games. Candy Crush, it's not a game. All those makeover games, they're not games. It's clickers. Like even right now, as I'm like saying which ones I'm talking about, I have to call them games because that's how they're named themselves. but they're not actually games, and you cannot put them in this survey or category.
But that's not the exact same audience of the people that are buying long form games or supporting these studios. Counting someone who's playing Candy Crush on their phone twice a week as the same kind of person.
Oh, yeah. And they also said 1 hour a week makes you into a gamer. 1 hour a week. I play more my fidget app before sleeping than 1 hour a week. I will even say which game it is. It's called Merge Hotel. You basically just combine stuff. That's it. That's what I do before sleeping. Merge Hotel. During lunch break, half an hour. Before sleeping, half an hour to 40 minutes. That alone is already more than an hour. And they're saying an hour of gameplay makes you a gamer. So since I play guitar an hour a day, does that make me a musician? Apparently, yeah.
That's buying Baldur's Gate 3 or Elden Ring kind of feels like manipulation to me. Then we get into the methodology, how these guys actually collected this data. The ESA only surveyed 1,000 people per country, and it was a panel-based sample, meaning that the participants were not chosen randomly, but they were from groups that already signed up for surveys. That's a built-in bias. And their definition of active...
Same thing I said last video as well. They are taking people from specific pools and specific demographics, and the second you do that, you are obscuring the kind of information you get. By default, you cannot regard it as a survey anymore. It's same as just going and asking your friend circle.
Gamer is anyone that plays 1 hour a week. That is not a representative sample. But maybe that's the point, because the ESA is not some neutral research group. It's a lobbying arm funded by major publishers. This year's report was made with Video Games Europe, the same organization that's fighting against the Stop Killing Games movement and games preservation rights. When the people that are shaping policy are also the ones that are shaping the data, you're not getting a snapshot of players, you're getting what they want you to believe.
And there you have it, the missing piece of it all.
And believe it, people did. Man, how fast these narratives can spiral once they're out in the wild. Variety picked this up and used that same misrepresented ESA data to somehow up the number, claiming that women now make up to 52% of gamers.
Oh,
guys,
my God.
we're outnumbered. Man, this makes total sense to me now. When you see how quickly these stories spread and you look at the direction that games have gone in the past couple of years, it's not hard to see the pattern here. What started as a male-centric hobby built around male-driven franchises has slowly but surely softened, reshaped, or in some cases completely...
Now it's not even 48%, it's 52%. Guys, my gender is taking over. Fear us.
overhauled to be able to chase an audience that doesn't actually exist. That's why some of these games are failing. If you strip out the mobile data or look at some of these core genres just by themselves, who's actually playing specific genres, the idea that women make up 48%, let alone 52% of gamers, completely falls apart. I mean, Capcom proved this themselves last year. They released survey results showing that their audience was 82% male and 14% female. Data gathered directly from people who are actually playing their games. That's the difference between marketing demographics and player demographics. Yet that ESA survey was parroted by almost every major outlet, went viral on social media, and faced zero pushback. Nobody questioned who conducted it, how it was gathered, or what interests were behind it. And that's how misinformation will cement itself. The data just gets reported.
I mean, why question it if it's pushing the narration you want it to be, right? Of course, they're not gonna question it because it's, again, the narration specifically they wanted to have and they needed to have to push their own agendas.
It is fact, it shapes public perception, and before long, developers are building games for audiences that don't actually exist. And honestly, this explains so much of the friction that we're seeing between studios and players today. These games are not being made for the people that are actually playing them. These players aren't being represented, they're being ignored. I'm not saying that games shouldn't appeal to women, of course they should, but context matters here. If you're Capcom and 80% of your audience...
I do have to add this as well. Have you noticed that all these games that these journals are also trying to push and all these wannabe activists on Twitter are trying to defend, they will get a lot of like brownie points on social media, likes and retweets and stuff like that. But when you actually look at the player base, how many people are actually actively playing it or buying it, the number of people playing it is gonna be less than people are just like pseudo hyping them up on social media. Like, best example, Dustborn. They had thousands of interactions on their social media posts, like on Twitter. And they would have like 1,000 like likes and like 1,000 people like hyping it up, but they couldn't even pass 70 players. Out of those 1,000 people hyping it up, I would say like maybe 20 of those players were anti-Vogue game reviewers, and the rest might have been people who were actually playing it. So out of 1,000 people who liked the post, only 50 people were willing to buy the game and play it. It doesn't add up. It's as if it's so performative.
Is male, what do you think happens when you approach that same series, assuming that half of it isn't? Look, guys, I know. I see the comments, the posts, the clips. You don't hate journalists enough, and I get it. I really do. There are legitimate criticisms to be had, and we're having those criticisms right now, but I still think that there's immense value in written media and written data, and that's why I always try to take out the time to call out the bad while highlighting the good. There is something so permanent about a written article, something that lasts, and there's something just so fleeting about verbal discourse. Even videos like this, writers will take a slower, more contemplative approach that you just don't get anywhere else, and I think that that's essential.
I'm thinking most of these posts were like bought it. That might be a possibility, but there was also a lot of people that supposedly they were collabing with, like people that made art of it and cosplays of it and playthroughs of it. The numbers still don't add up.
Potential for critical thinking. And man, do we need critical thinking right now. My respect for journalism has always been obvious in my work. Every one of my videos is built around 4,000 or 5,000 word essays, researched, written, rewritten again in some cases, trying to find the right balance between fact, opinion, and conviction. So when I make a video like this, it is not out of disdain for the medium. It is out of respect and a genuine desire to see it course correct. Because, man,
Well, in that case, he's a better man than I am. Apparently, I'm a man, but anyway, he's definitely a better man than I am. I have an absolute disdain for the actual written media these days. I don't respect it. I don't like it, and I think a it's just a dying medium. That's all.
it really needs to happen. The entire reason that the industry is trying to push the narrative that there are more women that are making up the gaming audience is specifically because they want their money. On average, women spend far more and far more often on non-essential goods, especially luxury items, and
Yeah.
gaming is included in that, or video games are included in that. And I mean, just think about it. Fitness and beauty are like the second highest paid.
No, also if you think about all these games with like adorable skins, like let's say League of Legends, right? They sell like hotcakes for women. Then when Overwatch 1 was great, adorable skins, they sold like hotcakes too. Yeah, so I would say women definitely they love their cosmetics in games. No one is saying that women don't play games. The fact that people are arguing with is that women are not half of the population of gamers. That's what people are arguing about. So, but yes, all the cutesy stuff and the cosmetic stuff in games definitely attract women. I'm not immune to it either. I have like hundreds of skins on League on its own. All of you've seen how many skins I have in Marvel Rivals. Even like Valorant, I have gun skins because they look cute. I'm so tired of the woke, anti-woke political, no political argument. I just want good games to play. I have to agree with that. But the reality is we are getting a lot of good games too. It just overshadowed and overclouded with a lot of looking at the wrong things. Like me and Zen, we make it a point to showcase the games we're enjoying and loving and having fun with. That's why we showcase Digimon so heavily. That's why we showcase Warhammer games. That's why I love playing Marvel Rivals. Like I just switch off my brain and just spam ranked. There's a lot of good games out there. And a lot of games that like just staying away from all this drama. Game journalism is a flat earth theory of gaming. Okay. Some of us force her to buy skins. Yeah, you forced me to get the Squirrel Girl skin. But to be fair, you did pay for it. Lifu, there's a new Squirrel Girl skin, just letting you know. Oh, I know, I know. I don't think I'm gonna get it. I don't like it. I do want Zen to get the Thor skin because he looks like a car mechanic.
advertising on YouTube just under finance. It's where the money is going, and that's where these guys want to go. They think by pushing the idea that more girls are playing and tailoring some of these games towards women is going to be able to get them to tap into one of the most powerful consumer groups in the entire world.
But there's already games that speak to women, and that's okay. And there's games that speak to both women and men, and that's okay. And there's games that speak to men, and that's okay. It's as if the stuff that already was working for all of us was working. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. Just make good games. I don't know why these companies keep on trying to reinvent the wheel and end up pissing off a lot of their audience. It's just stupid. You don't need to do that. Just work on the optimization and development and how just work on how the game looks and how it runs. And the money will come after you.
And that's what they want right now. Boys, you don't understand. We do understand. We're cheap. We stick to the same brands. We rarely move around, and that makes us one of the worst groups to sell anything to. That's why these guys want to try to get away from us if they possibly can. I really need to make a whole video on this topic. The problem is, and this isn't me saying that girls don't play video games. It's obvious that girls do play video games. I know plenty of women that play video games, but the problem is that our interests rarely align.
I mean, look at me. I play video games and I watch legendary drops. But again, that doesn't mean it's the norm. It's the abnormal. Like, even at the beginning of the video, he started it with only 5% of his audience are women, which by default would make me also the abnormal part of even watching him. And like, I keep on repeating, like, numbers, they don't lie. Facts, they don't lie. No one's saying a woman cannot be a gamer, but let's not lie about the percentage of it.
Especially in entertainment and in art. That causes some problems, because if you're making a game that's intended for a completely different audience, you're just going to lose the other one that you already have, because they're just not going to be interested in the exact same.
If half of the women were gamers, they'd make their own games. They wouldn't have to change games aimed at men. Well, here's the reality, Grateful. Every single top game that ever released had at least one woman there. It's not the women that are changing games, it's the activists that are changing games. Because the women who actually play games, they're sitting and playing the same fucking games aimed at men. Because again, there's no such thing as a game aimed at men. It's a game aimed at a specific preference of a game. So it's not the women changing it, it's the activists changing them.
Same thing. That's not to say that you can't bridge that gap. You definitely can. Narrative-driven RPGs, that totally makes sense. Baldur's Gate 3 sold gangbusters. A first-person shooter, that one's a little bit more difficult. That's a tough bridge to cross. A third-person
I don't know about that. First-person shooters are pretty much like the number one games I play currently. I'm not counting Marvel Rivals into it, to be honest, but like throughout the years, first-person shooters are the top genres I would go for.
Hack and slash action game, that's another tough one to try to.
And hack and slash. Zen got me into hack and slash. So again, I can laugh at it because I know this is not the norm. Women would not go, majority of women would not necessarily go after like playing hack and slash or FPS games. It's just the reality. But also, if you have a girl in your life, a significant other, and you like playing games, just buy her a copy of the game that you really love and just ask her to join you. I guarantee you majority of them will actually end up enjoying it. Maybe not because they want to go out of their way to play the game, but they might enjoy just because they will think you're being cute by wanting to involve them in your games. And you might actually get lucky from that.
So you have to pay attention to the kind of genre, the kind of game, a lot of other details. That's why blanket data like this can be so damaging, because if you just ignore the context of who actually plays these very specific genres on very specific hardware, you're going to have a really bad time. These writers should be looking into this, This is something that should have been immediately investigated, and I didn't see investigated anywhere. And they should be paying attention to the interests of where these surveys are actually coming from. But I think in a lot of cases, they just want to hop onto the pop cultural event that can pop up from some of this stuff and just run with the narrative itself. And, you know, I recently saw a graph that came out that said that 50% of articles today are AI written. That is because you are making yourself a disposable asset.
Yeah.
People do not want to listen to somebody that isn't representing them. And right now, I don't think a lot of people feel like they're being represented. That's up to you to make yourself indisposable. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys did enjoy the video, like the video, subscribe to the channel, comment down below.
Like, for example, we used to have like an influx of like heavily anti-woke viewers, right? When we just started.
Yeah.
But they didn't feel represented in this channel because me and Zen, we are more like on the normie side than anti-woke. We have a lot of points that we agree with people from anti-woke, a lot of points, but we're not. So a lot of those people fell off from watching us, which again, understandable because our content is not for them.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not gonna force anyone to watch us, right? Our audience, literally over time, over the year we've been doing this, became like these, for the lack of a better word, and I don't mean this as an offense, normies that just want to play games and have fun and hear about what's happening in the gaming industry. That's it. It's nothing deeper than that. They're not seeking out that like trashing games. Like they're not like frothing at the mouth looking at what's the next SBI game, what's the next DEI game, what's the next Voki game. It's like, okay, if we come across it, we'll laugh at it because it's actually badly performing and move on with our life. And most of the time it's gonna be like, hey, let's yap a little bit and then let's go and play some games that is actually a good game. But we're not gonna be sitting in that's like the only thing we'll be talking about. So there's a time and a place for a specific audience.
I'm spinning in circles like a crooked thread. Dance with the chaos inside my head. I'm bouncing off walls, can't find my feet. Stumbling round in a world so sweet. The world's a carnival, a funny parade. I'm laughing through tears in a bright masquerade. Strange colors blur, but I'm still in the game. Juggling dreams, but none feel the same. Bouncing on clouds.